Sometimes a guy spends his whole life dodging love, only to find it chilling right on his front porch. Sometimes you gotta see someone else crying to figure out your own heart can still get hurt. In the little frontier town of Mercy Ridge, Judah, Boone was known as a wanderer, a big dude who never stuck around long enough to call anywhere home. After years of roaming, he comes back and finds Willa, a widow with no place left to go, crying on the steps of his old family house. She's fighting to save her little niece from some bad guys who deal in debts and trouble. When Judah sees her, there beat down but not giving up, something clicks in his tough old heart. In a super quiet voice, he says something that shocks them both. Words about staying together forever in a world that's all about short-term stuff. What happens when a guy who's okay with being alone suddenly can't picture life without someone? Before we dive back in, tell us where you're listening from. And if this story hits you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've got something super cool saved for you. The dust never settled in Mercy Ridge. It floated around like problems that wouldn't go away, covering everything in a thin layer of grit that showed how tough life was out here. The town sat between rolling hills and wide-open plains, just a bunch of worn-out buildings that had seen too many storms and not enough kindness. Main Street cut through the town like a big scratch, lined with places for basic needs: a store, a saloon, a blacksmith, and Doc Harrison's clinic, where more guys left in coffins than walked out. Judah Boone was born here 38 years ago, but he'd spent the last 15 trying to forget this place existed. He was a giant, 6'4" in his beat-up boots, with shoulders wide enough to carry a ton of trouble. His hands were scarred from tons of fights and even more regrets, and his eyes looked tired from seeing too much of what people do when they think no one's watching. Folks who knew him before said he used to smile more and get mad less. But that was before the war, before the things he did for a cause that felt emptier every year, before he learned the only way to sleep was to keep moving so the past couldn't catch up. He'd made a name for himself across 3 territories as a guy you hired when things got too crazy for regular law. Not a hitman, Judah had rules, but someone who could fix problems that words or papers couldn't. Ranchers called him when cattle thieves got bold. Sheriffs wired him when outlaws turned towns into their playground. He'd do the job quietly, take his money and vanish like smoke. But lately something was bugging him, a restlessness that moving didn't fix, a longing that work didn't fill. He kept thinking about his old family house, wondering if his mom's apple trees still grew fruit or if the porch swing his dad built still creaked in the breeze. So after his last job, a land dispute in Colorado he settled mostly by talking, he pointed his horse north and came home. The house sat 2 miles outside town, tucked in a little valley where Willow Creek wound through cottonwood trees before, joining the bigger Mercy River. His grandpa picked a great spot, close enough for town stuff, far enough to skip the drama. The house was solid wood, built to handle harsh winters and summer storms, with a wide porch facing east for morning sun. But when Judah rode up the hill for his first good look at his childhood home, he saw 15 years of neglect had hit hard. The roof sagged, missing shingles like a busted smile. The barn looked okay, but the corral fence had holes where posts rotted. Weeds choked his mom's old vegetable garden, and the apple trees sagged with untrimmed branches. What really stopped him, though, was the woman sitting on his front steps. She was hunched over, face in her hands, looking totally crushed. Her dark hair was a mess, spilling over her shoulders, and her dress, once nice but now worn, was dusty from a long trip. A small bag next to her held what looked like all she owned. Judah stayed on his horse at the yard's edge, unsure. Years of wandering had taught him to read situations fast. Who was trouble? Who was desperate? Who was worth his time? This woman looked exhausted, like she'd been fighting battles she couldn't win with tools she didn't have. His horse's hooves crunched on the dirt, making her look up, and Judah felt something stir inside him. Her face was streaked with tears, but her eyes had a sharp, fierce spark that could make a guy forget his own name. She was maybe 30, with a kind of beauty that tough times couldn't erase, just deepened. Her jaw was set strong, her back straight, even though she looked defeated. "You lost, mister?" she asked, her voice shaky but trying to stay steady. Judah slid off his horse, his spurs jingling softly. Could ask you the same, ma'am, but it looks like you found what you were looking for. She wiped her eyes, smearing dust on her cheeks. I'm Willa Mae Garrett. I've got papers for this place. She pointed at the house with a mix of pride and worry. Bought it fair and square from the territorial office. That's so? Judah kept his voice calm, but his mind was racing. The territorial office had no right to sell his family's land. His dad had a clear deed, passed down legally when he died. Can I see those papers? Willa dug in her bag and pulled out a folded, yellowed document with official stamps. Judah took it carefully, noticing her hands shake as she handed it over. The deed was fancy, with seals and signatures, saying the Boone homestead was sold to Wilhelm Garrett for $50 and other considerations. Your husband? Judah asked, giving it back. Was. Her voice cracked a little. Wilhelm died. Last spring. Fever got him fast. She folded the paper neatly, like she'd done it 100 times. Left me with this place and his debts. Way more debts than land, turns out. Judah looked at her face, seeing her story in the tired lines around her eyes, the way she held herself up despite everything. I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Garrett, but there's a mix-up. This is my family's land. Has been for 30 years. Her face went pale, and for a second, Judah thought she might pass out. Instead, she clutched the deed like a lifeline. No, that can't be right. Wilhelm paid good money for this place. We've got papers. Papers can be faked, ma'am, especially for profit. Judah softened his voice, seeing how close she was to falling apart. Tell me about these debts your husband left. Willa's shoulders slumped, like her troubles just got heavier. Wilhelm liked to gamble, thought he was smarter than he was. When he died, I found out he owed money to some really bad people. They came 2 months after his funeral, said they'd take payment in flesh if I couldn't pay cash. What kind of flesh? Judah asked, though he had a bad feeling he knew. My niece, Emma. She's only 8, but they don't care. Tears rolled down her face again, and she didn't try to stop them. They said Wilhelm bet her in a card game. If I can't pay, they'll take her to work off his debts. Anger burned in Judah's chest, the kind he hadn't felt since the war. Men who'd use a kid to settle gambling debts were the worst kind of scum. Where's the girl now? Hidden. Safe, I hope. Willa looked at him with desperate eyes. I sold everything I could. Came here thinking this place might be worth something. Maybe I could sell it, pay them off, get Emma back. But if the deed's no good, she trailed off, her hope crumbling. The smart move would be to send her to the territorial office to sort it out. Judah had his own problems, reclaiming his land, rebuilding the house, figuring out his life. He'd spent 15 years staying out of other people's messes. But watching Willa try to hold herself together with nothing but stubborn pride and love, for a kid in danger, Judah felt something wake up inside him. Maybe it was the way her tears glowed in the setting sun, or memories of his own mom waiting on these steps for his dad. Maybe it was just the loneliness he'd carried so long he forgot it could be fixed. Whatever it was, it made him do something he hadn't done in 15 years of careful living. It made him stay. Mrs. Garrett, he said, his voice soft as a wish. When I saw you crying on my steps, I knew I'm going to marry you. The words hung between them like a surprise neither expected. Willa stared, her tears stopping from pure shock. Judah was just as stunned. Those words came from somewhere deep he'd forgotten about, but they felt true as the ground under their feet. I beg your pardon, she whispered. I know it sounds nuts. We just met, but there's something about you, about this moment, that feels like fate showing up right on time. Judah stepped closer, seeing little gold flecks in her brown eyes. You need help, and I need a reason to stop running. Maybe we can figure out what's next together. Willa studied his face, looking for a trick or a catch. You don't even know me. I know you're brave enough to face down men who'd hurt a kid. I know you love that girl enough to risk everything. I know you keep fighting when most folks would quit. That's enough to start with. The sun was setting, painting the sky pink and gold, and a meadowlark sang somewhere far off. Willa sat still for a long moment, thinking hard. Finally, she spoke. You really think you can help me get Emma back? I think we can help each other do what needs doing. She nodded slowly like she was making a huge choice. All right, Judah Boone, all right. For 3 days, a shaky calm settled over the homestead like morning fog. Judah worked on fixing things up while Willa cleaned the house to make it livable again. They moved around each other carefully, like two hurt people learning to share. Space without bumping old wounds. Willa turned out to be super capable. She scrubbed years of dirt from the kitchen, patched curtains with bits of her own clothes, and even got the old stove working again. With her gentle stubbornness, Judah caught himself watching her sometimes, noticing the way she hummed while cleaning or moved gracefully through rooms that had been empty too long. But under the calm, tension buzzed like a tight string. Willa jumped at every noise, her eyes always checking the horizon for trouble. She talked about Emma like the girl was still here but wouldn't say where she was hidden, and Judah respected that, even though it reminded him their problems weren't solved. That peace broke on Tuesday morning when hoofbeats echoed across the quiet prairie. Judah was fixing the corral fence when he saw 3 riders coming from town, moving like they owned the place. He knew their type right away. Hired trouble. The kind who solved problems with bullets and didn't ask questions. They rode fancy horses and wore their guns low, showing off their job to anyone watching. "Willa May?" Judah called softly, not looking away from the riders. "We've got company." She appeared in the doorway, still holding a dish towel, and her face went white when she saw them. "Oh no, they found me." The riders stopped in the yard with a showy flourish, their horses snorting and pawing the ground. The leader was a skinny guy with pale eyes and a smile that didn't touch them. His buddies looked tough and mean, like they had no heart at all. "Morning, folks," the leader said, tipping his hat like he was being polite. "Nice day, huh? I'm Caleb Nash. These are my pals, Mr. Ginnes, not Porter, and Mr. Stone." He waved at his buddies like he didn't care much. "We're looking for a woman named Willa May Garrett. Heard she might be around here?" Judah put down his hammer and stood slowly, keeping his hands where they could see them, but ready for trouble. "Depends who's asking and why." Nash's smile got wider, showing yellow teeth. "Why? We're like debt collectors. Mrs. Garrett's late husband owed some money, and we're here to talk about paying it back." His creepy eyes locked on Willa. "Hey there, darling. You've kept us running." Willa stepped onto the porch, her chin up despite the shake in her voice. "I don't owe you anything. Wilhelm's debts died with him." "Oh, you're wrong there." Nash pulled a crumpled paper from his vest. "Got his IOU right here, signed and legal. Says Wilhelm bet his niece, Emma Catherine Garrett, age 8, against a $500 debt. When he couldn't pay, the girl became ours." Judah felt ice in his veins. "Let me see that paper." Nash held it up but didn't hand it over. "This is private business between Mrs. Garrett and my boss, but it's simple. She pays the $500 or we take the girl. Either way, the debt gets settled." "You can't take a child like she's a prize," Willa said, her voice shaking with anger. "Emma's not property." "According to this legal paper, she is." Nash folded it slowly, like he was enjoying himself. "We've been patient, gave you time to get the money, but patience runs out. Honestly, the girl's probably worth more than $500 anyway. Pretty little thing, from what we hear. Lots of folks need young workers." The way he talked about selling a kid made Judah's vision go red. He'd met guys like Nash in the war, scum who made money off misery and called it business. "The girl's not here," Judah said, his voice warning them to back off. Nash laughed, sharp like breaking glass. "Oh, we know that, friend. But Mrs. Garrett knows where she is, and that's close enough." He leaned forward, talking to Willa. "Look, darling, we can do this easy or hard. Tell us where the girl is. We take her quietly, and everyone walks away. Or we make things real bad for you and your buddy here until you talk." "And if she doesn't know where the girl is," Judah asked, "then we'll find other ways to make her useful." Nash's smile turned nasty. "Pretty lady like her? There's always a market. Not as good as a kid, but business is business." That was it. Judah stepped forward, his hand twitching toward his hip where his gun usually sat. But he'd left it inside, a dumb mistake after 3 calm days. Nash saw the move, and his smile grew. "Easy, friend, no need to get rough. We're civilized here." He nodded to his buddies, who shifted their horses and reached for their guns. Tell you what, we'll give you 24 hours to think it over. By sunrise tomorrow, we'll be back for an answer. Mrs. Garrett, I hope you choose smart. Hate to see this nice place all shot up. The three turned their horses and rode back to town slowly, like they didn't care about watching their backs. Their confidence was almost worse than their threats. Willa sank onto the porch steps, her legs giving out. They found me. After all this time, they found me. Judah sat beside her, close but not too close. Where's Emma? Safe, hidden with a family in Carson's Bluff, 2 counties north. They think she's a cousin staying while her parents are sick. Willa's voice sounded empty. But it won't matter. If I don't give her up, they'll keep coming. And if I do, she couldn't finish. They won't take her. Judah's voice was firm, making Willa look up. Those guys are used to people giving in. They've never faced someone who fights back. You can't fight 3 armed men. They'll kill you. Maybe, but they'll have to work for it. Judah stood and offered his hand. Come on, we've got stuff to do. What kind of stuff? The kind that makes sure those men don't ride away tomorrow. Willa stared at him, seeing something in his eyes that hinted at skills she'd only guessed at. You've done this before, too many times to count, but never for something this important. She took his hand and let him pull her up. What do you need me to do? First, send word to the family hiding Emma. Tell them to take her farther away until this is over. Then we get ready for a fight. As they walked to the house, Willa felt a tiny spark of hope, something she hadn't felt since Wilhelm died. For the first time, she wasn't facing the bad guys alone. Behind them, a crumpled bounty notice lay in the dust where Nash dropped. Emma's face staring up at a darkening sky. Judah's first move was to grab his dad's old gun belt from a chest in the bedroom closet. The leather was still good, and the Colt 45 fit in its holster like it was waiting for him. He strapped it on with practiced ease, the weight feeling like an old friend. Willa watched from the doorway, her face hard to read. You wear that, like it's part of you. Maybe it is. Judah checked the bullets by feel. My dad said a gun's just a tool, like a hammer or a plow. It's the man holding it that makes it good or bad. And which are you? Judah met her eyes. Guess we'll find out. He rode into town that afternoon saying he was getting supplies but really checking out the enemy. Mercy Ridge felt different now. Not a memory, but a battlefield. The saloon was too open. The sheriff's office too close to Main Street. The general store perfect for watching who came and went. Nash and his men were staying at the hotel, not hiding at all, even enjoying the attention. Judah watched from across the street as they bragged on the hotel porch, drawing curious looks from townsfolk, like people staring at a hanging. Sheriff Rawlings was conveniently gone, supposedly on urgent business at the county seat. The timing felt fishy, and Judah noted it. At the general store, he ran into Tom Fletcher, an old friend of his dad's. Fletcher was older now, gray and bent from hard work, but his eyes were sharp. Judah Boone, Fletcher said quietly. Heard you were back. Also heard you're mixed. Up with some bad folks. News travels fast. Bad news always does. Fletcher checked they weren't overheard. Those men are poison, Judah. The kind that ruins everything good. Most folks hope they'll take what they want and leave. And what do you think they want? Fletcher's face hardened. A little girl who never hurt anyone. That's as low as it gets. He paused, thinking. Your dad was a good man. Helped me when I needed it. Never asked for anything back. If his son needs help now, maybe it's time I return the favor. It was the first offer of support Judah got, and it warmed him. Thanks, Tom, but this isn't your fight. Hell, it isn't. A town that won't protect its kids ain't worth calling home. Fletcher leaned closer. What do you need? Info? Mostly. How many more are there? Where's their support coming from? Who's paying them? Don't know numbers, but I've seen telegrams going to Denver. Big city money, probably. As for local support, Fletcher's mouth twisted. Some folks, like Mayor Hutchins and the town council, think looking the other way is safer than fighting. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll see what this town's made of. That evening, Judah returned to the homestead with more questions than answers. Willa was in the kitchen, surrounded by organized chaos. She'd cleaned his dad's old rifle and laid out ammo neatly, her own little pearl-handled pistol next to a box of bullets. I sent word to the Hartmans, she said, not looking up. They'll take Emma to their sister's place in Wyoming. She should be safe there. Good. One less thing to worry about. Judah sat across from her, watching her steady hands load bullets. You've done this before. Wilhelm wasn't the only one who could handle trouble. Growing up out here teaches you things, whether you like it or not. She looked up, tired. What did you find in town? Judah told her about Nash's men, the missing sheriff, and the town's mixed loyalties. Willa listened, her face getting grimmer. So we're on our own, she said when he finished. Mostly, but not totally. He reached across and touched her hand. Tom Fletcher offered to help. There might be others. Might be isn't much to plan on. Then we plan on what we know. 3 guys, probably armed and experienced. They'll come tomorrow expecting us to give up. When we don't, they'll try scaring us first, then fighting. Willa turned her hand to hold his, their fingers locking. You could still leave. Take me if you want, but you don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. His voice was so sure it surprised them both. The moment I chose to stay, the moment I made that promise on the porch, it became my fight, my family to protect. The word family hung between them, new and fragile but true. In 3 days, they'd gone from strangers to something more. Not lovers yet, but partners in a way that meant more than convenience. I've been thinking about what you said, Willa said softly. About marrying me. Judah's heart sped up. And? I think you're crazy, but maybe crazy's what we need. She met his eyes. If we get through tomorrow, if we get Emma back, if we can make something real out of this mess, then yes, I'll marry you, Judah Boone. The promise felt like a blessing, turning the plain kitchen into something special. Outside, the sun set, painting the sky gold and red, and a coyote howled somewhere far off. But inside, for the first time in forever, neither felt alone. They spent the evening getting ready for a fight, careful like soldiers who know details can save lives. They blocked windows with furniture, leaving gaps to shoot through. Ammo was placed around the house. Escape routes were planned and practiced. As night fell, they sat on the porch, listening to the prairie and finding strength in each other. Tomorrow might bring fighting or death, but tonight they had this, a quiet moment of connection. Tell me about Emma, Judah said softly. Willa smiled, her eyes lighting up. She's got Wilhelm's stubbornness and her mom's quick brain. Loves books, even if she doesn't get half the words. Makes up stories about clouds and names every stray cat she sees. Her voice got thick. She calls me Aunt Willa, but she's like my own daughter, the only family I've got left. She'll be safe, Judah promised. Whatever it takes, she'll be safe. Willa leaned against him, comforted by his strength. I believe you. God help me. I believe you. They sat quietly until the moon rose, turning the prairie silver. Tomorrow would test their trust, courage, and hope. But tonight, they were home. The morning after Nash's visit brought a sneaky calm, like fog hiding danger. Judah woke to find Willa already up, moving quietly in the kitchen with a purpose that said she'd made big choices. In the night, she stood at the window, still in her nightgown with a shawl against the chill, holding a plain gold wedding ring, turning it like a worry stone. Couldn't sleep? Judah asked gently. Too much thinking. She didn't turn, but her voice was firm. I've worn this ring 3 years, telling myself it meant something, that Wilhelm and I had something real. Judah stood beside her, close but not crowding. Maybe you did. No. The word was quiet, but sure. We had convenience, necessity, 2 people trying to survive a world that didn't care if we lived or died, but not love, not the kind that makes you fight instead of run. She held up the ring, letting light catch it. Wilhelm gave me this because I needed protection, and he needed someone to cook and sew. When he died, I kept it on, thinking it still meant something. It doesn't, never did. She set the ring on the windowsill, like closing a book for good. And now? Judah asked. Now I know what real love feels like. She turned to him, her eyes strong, not scared anymore. I know what it's like to want to build something that lasts, to choose someone because you can't imagine life without them. The words hit like truth. Judah felt old chains loosen in his chest. Willa May, I love you, he said simply. I don't know how it happened so fast, but I do. And I trust you. With my life. Emma's life. A future I never thought I'd want. Judah cupped her face gently like she was precious. I love you too. More than I thought I could, more than I deserve. We both deserve this, she said firmly. Happiness, safety, a chance to build something beautiful. There. Kiss was soft but strong, like two people who'd found home in each other. A horse's approach broke them apart, but they stayed close. Through the window, they saw Tom Fletcher riding fast from town, looking urgent. "Judah!" Fletcher called, pulling up. "We need to talk." They met him on the porch, and Judah saw Fletcher's face was set, like he'd made a hard choice. "Nash came back to town last night," he said. "Brought more men, lots more. Professional killers, not just frontier trash. Word is they're hitting the homestead today, big time." "How many?" Judah asked. "Dozen, maybe more. All armed, all looking like they know what they're doing." Fletcher pulled a paper from his saddlebag, official, with territorial seals. "This came on the morning wire. Federal warrant for Nash's arrest, signed by a Denver judge. Kidnapping, extortion, fraud, serious stuff." Judah read the charges, knowing they'd only stick if enforced. "Problem is," Fletcher went on, "sheriff's still gone, and Nash has enough men to fight off any marshal. This warrant's useless unless we make it stick." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we make it stick ourselves." Fletcher's eyes were steady. "I've talked to folks in town. We're tired of men like Nash walking over good people. 8 of us will stand with you when they come." Willa stepped forward, her chin high. 9. Ma'am, I appreciate it, but no buts." Her voice was strong like velvet over steel. "This is my fight, too. Emma's my responsibility. This is my home now, and I'll fight for it." Fletcher looked at Judah, who nodded. "She's right. It's her fight, and she can handle herself." "All right, 9 of us." Fletcher got serious. "But we gotta be smart. Nash has numbers and skill, but we've got something he doesn't." "What's that?" "We're fighting for our homes, our families, our future. He's fighting for money. That makes all the difference." They spent the morning prepping for battle, careful about every detail. Weapons were cleaned, positions picked, escape routes planned. But Judah remembered the quiet moments most. Willa humming while making what might be their last meal. The way sunlight caught her hair. The simple closeness of two people building something worth protecting. As noon neared, townsfolk started arriving. Doc Harrison came first, medical bag and old Army Colt in tow. Jake Morrison brought his blacksmith strength and a shotgun that could stop a buffalo. Martha Henley showed up with her husband's rifle and a look that could scare the devil. One by one, they took spots around the property, making a defense that would cost Nash dearly, even if he won. These weren't soldiers, but people fighting for what they loved, which made them dangerous. "After this," Willa said during final prep, "I want to plant a real garden. Veggies for food, flowers for beauty, maybe fruit trees like your mom had." "Planning for the future?" Judah asked. "Our future." Her eyes held no doubt, just certainty. "We're gonna have one, Judah. Everything we dreamed of and more." Her confidence spread to him, making him believe not just in surviving today, but in building something lasting. The fight, when it came, was quick and fierce. Nash's men rode in expecting a lone guy and a scared woman, but got caught in a crossfire. From 9 defenders who knew every inch of their land. The hired killers were good, but they'd never faced folks fighting for principles, not pay. Doc Harrison's aim took out 2 men fast. Jake's shotgun cleared the barn area. Even Martha was deadly with her rifle. Nash made it to the porch before Willa stepped out, no longer the crying widow, but a woman changed by love and refusal to lose another family. She held Wilhelm's shotgun steady. "This ends here," she said simply. Nash's pale eyes widened, shocked to be outdone by someone he thought was weak. His hand went for his gun, but Willa was faster. Her buckshot blast sent him flying back into the yard, his life of crime finally over. With Nash dead, his men lost their nerve. Some ran, others fell, and the fight ended fast. In the quiet, Willa stood in the doorway, shotgun smoking. On the windowsill, her old wedding ring caught the light. Not a symbol of the past anymore, but a reminder of how far she'd come. "It's over," Judah said, taking the gun from her shaking hands. "Is it really?" She looked at him, half relieved, half disbelieving. "Are we safe?" "We're safe." He pulled her close, feeling her relax. All of us. As the townsfolk checked the wounded and secured the area, Emma came out from the root cellar, holding her wooden doll, with a serious but fearless look. "Is it really over, Uncle Judah?" she asked. "It's really over, sweetheart." He knelt to her level, seeing courage in her eyes. "The bad men are gone. You're safe now." "We all are." Emma nodded, then picked up Willa's old ring from the windowsill. She studied it, then handed it to Judah. "I think Aunt Willa needs a new ring, one that means she'll stay with us forever." Judah looked at the ring, then at Willa, who'd taught him love could beat fear. "Yes," he said, slipping it into his pocket next to his mom's fancier ring. "I think she does." Victory felt empty by evening. As townsfolk went home, the weight of what they'd started settled like a storm cloud. Judah stood in the barn doorway, staring where Nash's men had been, knowing this wasn't the end. Willa found him, bringing coffee in steaming cups. The simple act felt like a miracle after the day's violence. "Penny for your thoughts," she said, handing him a cup, thinking they'll be back. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but soon. And next time, they won't underestimate us. So what do? We prepare and learn who we're really fighting. That evening, Tom. Fletcher brought bad news. "They're not alone," he said at the kitchen table. "Big money's behind them. Denver money, maybe even East. People who see humans as things to buy and sell." Judah's stomach turned. He'd met those types in the war. Vultures feeding on pain. "How big?" "Big enough to have friends in the territorial government." Nash wasn't. Lying about their pull. Judges, marshals, even congressmen turn a blind eye for money. Willa paled. "We can't win against that kind of power." "Power only works if you're scared of it," Judah said, "and corruption makes men sloppy. They rely on fear, not skill. When that fails, they're lost." Fletcher nodded. "Your dad would be proud. He said the hardest guy to beat is the one with nothing to lose." That night, Judah dug through the old chest where he'd found his dad's gun belt. Under old photos and letters, he found his mom's family Bible, huge and leather-bound, passed down 3 generations. The leather was cracked, the gold lettering faded, but the pages were perfect. Between Matthew and Mark were pressed wildflowers from his mom's garden, roses, larkspur, baby's breath still bright. She was beautiful, Willa said from the doorway, looking at a photo that fell out, showing a young woman with kind eyes holding baby Judah. "She died when I was 12, Judah said, taking the photo. "Fever took her in 3 days. One morning she was cooking and singing. By Thursday, we buried her. I'm sorry. She'd have liked you. Seen what I see. Strength to keep going when others would quit. Love to risk everything for a kid who's not even yours." He closed the Bible gently. "Mom said real courage isn't not being afraid. It's doing what's right even when you are." Willa sat beside him, close enough to feel her warmth. "Tell me about her." Sarah Elizabeth Boone, born McKinnon. In Ireland, came west at 16. Met my dad at a church dance in Kansas City. She could make a meal from nothing and charm anyone. Her garden out back had roses, delphiniums, sweet peas. She said a home needed flowers to remind you not everything's practical. What happened to it? Died with her. Dad tried to keep it going, but he didn't have her touch. After he passed, I let it go. Judah looked at the flowers, feeling guilty. "Maybe that was wrong." "It's never too late," Willa said. "Gardens can grow again. Beauty can come back." Her words meant more than flowers. They meant hope. In the lamplight, Judah saw not just the woman he loved, but a future he'd never dared dream of. "When this is over, when Emma's safe and Nash is done, will you help me rebuild it? The garden, I mean, like Mom would have wanted." "I'd love that." Willa's smile glowed. "Roses for remembering, lavender for love, sweet peas and veggies too, tomatoes, beans, corn. A garden for body and soul." They sat quietly, the Bible between them like a link from past to future. Outside, the prairie wind whispered, smelling of rain and wild flowers, but gunshots from town shattered the peace, rapid, deliberate, like a fight. Judah was up, hand on his gun. "Stay here," he told Willa. "No way. If there's trouble, it's our trouble." They saddled horses and rode to Mercy Ridge in the dark, guided by flames that shouldn't be there. From the hill, they saw the general store burning. Martha, Henley's shop, the same Martha who'd fought with them. Townsfolk ran with buckets, but it was too late. Tom Fletcher was leading the bucket line, face black with soot, eyes angry. "What happened?" Judah asked. "Nash's men. Came after dark, set the fire, and left before we knew. But that's not the worst. What else? They took Martha." The words hit hard. Martha was 70, a kind widow who'd run the store 30 years. The thought of Nash's men touching her made Judah's blood freeze. "Any witnesses?" Young Billy Crenshaw saw them load someone into a wagon. Probably Martha. They left this on the sheriff's door. Fletcher handed over a note. In the firelight, it read, "The debt still stands. Return the girl or more will suffer. 48 hours. Below was a drawing of a noose. Willa read it, pale. "They'll kill her. Not if I find them first." Judah's voice was deadly. "Tom, set watches on everyone who helped us today. They'll try to scare us one by one." "What are you doing?" "What I should have done this morning. I'm going hunting." The fire died before dawn, leaving a charred skeleton where Martha's store stood. The loss wasn't just a building. It was something precious gone. As Judah prepped his weapons, he felt a cold, focused anger from the war. Nash had messed up, showing his true colors to a town that might have ignored him if he stayed quiet. Now it was war. The trail was easy to follow, wagon ruts heading north to the Badlands, rough country perfect for outlaws. Judah rode alone despite Willa's protests. This was his old work, cold, calculated, not something he wanted her to see. The tracks led to an old mining camp in a box canyon 20 miles out. The silver was gone, leaving rickety buildings perfect for hiding. Smoke rose from one, and horses were tied up in the old equipment yard. Judah left his horse half a mile away and crept in, using skills from his wandering days. The camp was barely guarded. Nash's men were used to scaring weak folks, not fighting someone like Judah. A lone sentry napped in the sun, rifle against. A post. From rocks above, Judah counted 6 men, including Nash's 2 buddies from before, plus 3 others, all armed but not expecting trouble. Martha was tied to a chair in an old mining office, alive but stressed. The smart move was to get help, but Martha didn't have time. These men would kill, and every hour risked her life. Judah checked his weapons and moved like a shadow, hunting. The sentry died quietly, Judah's knife quick and clean. 1 down, 5 left. He hid the body and took the man's spot, hat low over his eyes. From there, he saw 2 men on a porch, playing cards and drinking, 2 inside and 1 missing, probably sleeping. Judah waited until the card players got sloppy from booze. When one stumbled off the porch, Judah's bullet dropped him silently. The second guy was still confused when Judah's next shot ended him. The gunfire brought the 2 inside running out, blinded by sunlight. Judah's rifle fired twice, and the camp went quiet except for the wind. But quiet could lie. Judah stayed, still until the 5th man tried to sneak around back, thinking he'd outsmarted Judah. He was good, but not good enough. "Drop the gun," Judah said softly. The man spun, raising his weapon, and Judah's Colt ended it. 5 shots, 5 dead, and Martha was free. But as Judah cut her ropes and helped her up, the victory felt empty. These were just pawns in a bigger game. Killing them bought time, not safety. "Oh, Judah," Martha said, shaking with relief and fear. "I thought I was done for." "You're safe now," he said, though it felt like a lie. None of them were safe while Nash and his bosses were out there. The ride back was quiet, Martha gripping the saddle, Judah thinking dark thoughts. Nash would hit back hard. In town, panic had spread, families packing to flee, Martha's return, only making folks fear worse retaliation. Tom Fletcher met them at the edge of town. "Nash came back while you were gone, rode down Main Street calling you out like a storybook villain, says you killed his men so the debt's now $1,000 or the girl, plus extra for his losses. If he doesn't get it, he'll burn the town." Judah helped Martha down, seeing her hands shake. "He's bluffing. Burning a town draws too much attention from the law." "Maybe, but he's got more men now. At least a dozen real gunmen." Fletcher looked worried. Judah, we might not win this. No. Judah's voice was sharp. We don't negotiate with kidnappers or pay off men who hurt old ladies. And we don't abandon Emma to monsters just because it's hard. Before he could say more, a small voice called, Uncle Judah. Emma stood by the livery stable, clutching her doll, her brown eyes shadowed but brave. Emma, Judah knelt. To her, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be with the Hartmans. I heard people say bad men were after Aunt Willa because of me. Her lip trembled, but her voice was steady. I couldn't let that happen, so I came back. Her courage hit Judah hard. This little girl was what Nash wanted to sell. Listen, Emma, he said, taking her hands. Your aunt and I will keep you safe, but you gotta trust us and do what we say, even if it's scary. Can you? She nodded. Are you really gonna marry Aunt Willa? The question surprised him, but he answered, Yes. Is that okay with you? Will that make you my papa? The word warmed his heart. If you want, yes. I'd like that, she said, smiling for the first time. Judah saw why Willa would risk everything for her. Emma was a light in a dark world. Let's get you home to your aunt. She's worried sick. As they walked to the homestead, Emma in his arms, Judah realized this fight wasn't just about justice. It was about protecting family, love surviving against all odds. For that, he'd take on anything. 3 days later, a sweaty rider brought a telegram. Tom Fletcher handed it to Judah at the homestead. Came on the territorial wire. It's for you, but it's about all of us. Judah read it, unease growing. Official stuff rarely meant good news. Judah Boone, Mercy Ridge, urgent. Bring Emma Garrett to Denver immediately. Girl key witness in federal investigation. Congressional testimony required. Cooperation essential. Contact Marshal Bradford on arrival. Signed, Deputy Attorney General Morrison. He handed it to Willa, who stood with Emma close. The girl's presence had changed the homestead. Laundry on lines, laughter in the kitchen, her voice calling them to dinner. I don't get it, Willa said, scared. Emma's never been to Denver. She's never testified. What investigation? Judah's mind raced, pieces clicking together. Emma, he said gently, kneeling, before you lived with Wilhelm and Willa, what do you remember about your real dad? Her face scrunched. He worked in a big building with lots of papers, always writing, even at home. Mama said he was catching bad men who stole money. Willa's breath caught. Emma, you said your dad died in a mining accident. That's what Uncle Wilhelm told me to say. But Papa wore a suit and had a badge, not like a sheriff's, but different, he told. Mama, if anything happened to him, to take me far away and not tell anyone who we were. What was his real name? Judah asked, suspecting the answer. Thomas Garrett, but his work name had numbers and letters I couldn't remember. Judah felt the ground shift. Thomas wasn't a gambler killed in an accident. He was a federal investigator who found something big enough to get him killed. Emma was his daughter, maybe the only one who could name his killers. Horses interrupted his thoughts. Not Nash's men, but federal marshals, led by a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He dismounted carefully, hand near his gun. I'm Marshal Bradford, he said with authority. You got our telegram. Judah stepped in front of Emma. Mind explaining? It's about justice for a good man who died doing his job and keeping more from dying because the wrong people got secrets that could ruin half the territorial government? Bradford looked at Emma with sympathy and resolve. Thomas Garrett was one of our best. He found a conspiracy. Officials selling contracts, judges taking bribes, congressmen protecting criminals for campaign money. Emma was there the night they killed her dad, hidden in a closet. She saw their faces, heard their names. She's the only witness who can put them in jail and clean up this territory. Willa stepped up, protective. She's 8. She's been through enough. You can't expect... I expect to do my job, Bradford said, softening. I've got kids too, ma'am. But if Emma doesn't testify, her dad's killers go free, and more innocents die while criminals run this place. What about Nash? Judah asked. Bradford's face darkened. Nash works for Senator Morrison, brother of the Deputy Attorney General who signed that telegram. Nash was hired to silence Emma or deliver her to people who'd make sure she never talks. When you fought back, Morrison okayed any force needed. The corruption was huge. Emma was hunted by men with badges and power. So what now? Willa asked. Take her to Denver. She testifies, helps us catch the guilty. Then, we move you all somewhere safe. New names, federal protection. It made sense but felt wrong to Judah. Protection was only as good as the men behind it, and corruption spread fast. I need time to think, he said. No time, Bradford replied. Morrison's people know about the telegram. They'll move tonight. Your only shot is to come with us now. Emma tugged Judah's sleeve. I remember something else. One of the bad men had a star on his vest like his. She pointed at Bradford. And he knew Papa's work name. Bradford's face froze. What else, sweetheart? He said Papa was too curious, that some secrets were worth more than one life. And if Mama didn't stay quiet, they'd find lots of kids who needed a new sister. Bradford exchanged looks with his men, like they'd suspected this. All right, he said. We take Emma to Denver my way. No official channels, no telegrams, just us. And Mr. Boone, I meant federal protection for you and Mrs. Garrett, too. You've made big enemies. Judah looked at Willa, seeing his own worries. They'd built love and family in a week, but protection meant leaving it all. New names, new lives, just them. Staying meant fighting a losing battle against endless resources. Emma's safety came first, no matter the cost. When do we leave? Judah asked. Now, Bradford said. Grab what you can carry. This place is too dangerous now. As they packed to leave the homestead, his dad's land, his mom's garden, their new dreams, Judah felt loss settle heavy. He'd run from attachments for 15 years because losing what you love hurts more the deeper you love. But Emma's small hand in his, trusting him, showed some things were worth any price. Family was about choosing to protect each other, no matter what. The trip to Denver took 3 days through dangerous land. Bradford was smart, picking back roads to avoid notice, but Judah felt pursuit closing in like a storm. On the second night, in a defensible canyon, Bradford shared the full story by the campfire while Emma slept between Judah and Willa. Thomas Garrett wasn't just investigating corruption, he said. He found a network from San Francisco to Washington. Fake companies getting millions in contracts, judges paid to ignore it, even army officers selling weapons to hostile tribes. How deep is it? Judah asked. Deep enough that 3 of our agents died investigating? Deep. Enough I can't trust my bosses to keep Emma safe after she testifies. Bradford looked old in the firelight. That's why we're off the books. The committee chair, Senator Williams, is honest, but even he doesn't know all his staff. Willa moved closer to Emma. What happens after she testifies? If she lives to testify, Bradford said bluntly, we relocate you. New names, new place where Morrison can't reach. Bradford pulled a leather case from his saddlebag, holding 3 medals that gleamed in the firelight. Medal of Honor, he said, noting Judah's reaction, plus a Distinguished Service Cross and Silver Star. Thomas Garrett was Captain Garrett, Union Army, honored at Antietam and Gettysburg, just like Lieutenant Judah Boone, who got similar medals for work behind enemy lines. Judah was stunned. His war past was buried. How'd you know? I check who I work with, especially someone with your skills. I need that, Judah. Someone who thinks like a soldier. What are you asking? Help me get Emma to the committee room alive, not just as a man protecting his family, but as the soldier you were. That night, Judah couldn't sleep, holding his medal, remembering a younger self who believed in clear right and wrong. The war taught him good men died for bad causes, evil won with better plans, and heroism was often just foolish. But with Emma's future and Willa's love, in his hands, some fights were worth it, not for winning, but because losing wasn't an option. Can't sleep either? Willa joined him, wrapped in a blanket. Too much to think about. Tell me about the war. What you did for those medals. Judah watched the stars. I did what was needed. Killed men with families. Watched friends die from my bad calls. Glory's just a word for senseless stuff. But you saved lives too. Made a difference. Maybe. Or just delayed the inevitable. He looked at the medal, worn smooth. After I couldn't settle. Nothing felt real compared to war, so I kept moving, fighting others' battles. Because it's all I knew. Willa moved closer. And now? Now I've found something worth stopping for. He looked at her. You and Emma gave me hope that good things can happen despite men like Nash and Morrison. Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together, Willa said. As a family, Judah added. The word felt new but true. Family was standing, together against the world. Dawn came fast, and Denver spread before them, full of promise and danger. Bradford gave final orders, calm but strained. The hearings at 2:00 in the courthouse. We'll use back streets to avoid crowds. Inside, Emma's safe. Too many witnesses for Morrison's men to try anything. He looked at Emma. You know what to do, sweetheart? Tell the truth about what I saw, about the men who hurt Papa, she said, clutching her doll. Right. These are good men asking questions. They want to stop the bad guys. Will Aunt Willa and Uncle Judah be there? Right outside. Close enough to help, but safe. As they entered Denver, Judah's senses were sharp, every shadow a threat. Willa rode with grace born of crisis. Emma, once so scared, now had a quiet strength. Uncle Judah, she said, after I tell the committee, after the bad men go to jail, can we go home and plant the garden? The word home hit hard. The homestead was his parents' legacy, his redemption, their peace. Yes, he said like a prayer. We'll go home, plant roses for remembering, veggies for winter, fix the roof, make it a place your papa would want you to grow up in. Emma smiled, her face bright. And we'll be a real family. We already are, Willa said, squeezing her hand. Love makes families, and we've got lots of that. The courthouse loomed, its stone promising justice. But in Denver's back streets, Judah saw trouble. Too many men in doorways watching, hands near guns. Bradford, he said quietly. I see them, the marshal replied. We're expected. How many? More than I'd like. But the hearing's in 30 minutes, and Emma needs to be there. They dismounted at a back door Bradford had arranged to be open. But as Judah helped Emma down, he saw Nash across the street, not hiding, his pale eyes on Emma, his smile promising violence. Change of plans, Judah said. This feels like a trap. Maybe, but it's our only shot, Bradford said, checking his gun. Emma's testimony stops this corruption. Without it, Thomas died for nothing. If we don't make it inside, we make sure Emma does, Judah said, looking at Willa, who nodded. They'd found love in chaos, built something precious, and now they'd die for it if needed. Ready? Bradford asked. Judah took Emma's hand, Willa on her other side, and they approached the door, toward justice or their graves. The homestead's old iron bell was packed in Willa's saddlebags, a piece of home carried to Denver. Bradford thought it was extra weight, but Judah knew some things were worth carrying. Now, as Nash's men closed in, Judah wished he could ring that bell to call for help in this corrupt city. The courthouse steps were busy with people, but Judah spotted the killers. Men standing too straight, watching too closely. Morrison's power was huge. How many? Bradford asked. Dozen, maybe more. Covering all exits, Judah said calmly, like sizing up a battlefield. They're not hiding. This is a show to scare anyone who crosses them. Emma walked between them, holding Judah's hand and her doll, quieter now, but steady. I'm scared, she whispered at the door. That's okay, Willa said, kneeling. Brave people get scared too. They do what's right anyway, like your papa did. Bradford opened the door, revealing a dim hallway. Judah's instincts screamed danger. Too easy, too perfect. This is wrong, he said, hand on his gun. No choice, Bradford said, gun ready. Hearings in 15 minutes. They moved through the old stone courthouse, its halls feeling empty, like justice had left. The committee room was on the 3rd floor up a narrow staircase, easy to defend but easy to trap. Judah thought of other climbs in the war, toward fights worth dying for. At the 2nd floor landing, 3 men waited, not hiding their intent. They wore fancy suits, not just gunmen but Morrison's top guys, mixing politics with violence. That's far enough, the leader said, voice smooth but hard. The girl comes with us. You can walk away and forget this. No, Judah said, stepping in front of Emma. Mr. Boone, the war hero turned farmer. The man smirked. Think you can fight a whole building of armed men? Think your army. Tricks make you untouchable? No, Judah said honestly. But you've made a mistake lots of men make. You think more guns, money, and connections make you better than us. You don't have one thing we do. What's that? Something worth dying for. The words hung for a second. Then everything exploded. Judah's Colt roared, dropping the leader. Bradford's gun fired, taking the second man. The third was fast, hitting Bradford in the shoulder, but Willa's pistol fired twice, missing but forcing him to duck, giving Judah time to finish him. 3 dead, and gunfire echoed as more men came. "Brad!" Judah called. "Alive!" Bradford gasped, clutching his shoulder. "Bullet went through, I can fight." "Committee room," Judah said. "We make our stand there." They ran up the stairs, Emma keeping up despite her fear. Voices shouted behind them. Ahead was justice, if they could reach it. The committee room was like another world, with polished wood and lamplight, calm despite the chaos outside. 3 men sat at a desk, serious but ready. "Senator Williams," Bradford said, stumbling in. "We've been expecting you," the senator said, old but tough. "Is this the child?" "Emma Garrett, daughter of Thomas Garrett, witness to his murder," Bradford confirmed. "Those gunshots, Morrison's men, trying to stop her." Williams stood, strong despite his age. "We'd better record her. Testimony fast." But footsteps outside grew louder, Nash giving orders to trap them. "They're surrounding the building," Judah said, checking the window. "More men than before. They'll kill everyone who hears Emma's story." Emma tugged his sleeve. "Uncle Judah, if I tell what I saw, will it stop the bad men?" He knelt, seeing her courage. "Yes, sweetheart, but you don't have to." "Yes, I do," she said, firmly. "Papa died to stop them. I can't let that be for nothing." The door slammed shut as Nash's men reached the hall, but Emma walked to the witness chair and started talking, brave as any adult. Willa's shotgun, once Wilhelm's, was now hers, a symbol of her change from victim to fighter. Emma's voice filled the room, clear and strong, telling about the night her dad died, the men in darkness, their badges, their names. "The man with pale eyes called the other one Senator Morrison," she said. "He said Papa was too curious about railroad contracts." Williams leaned forward. "Emma, you're sure it was Senator Morrison?" "Yes, sir. He said judges owed him favors, and marshals didn't ask about missing people." The stenographer typed fast, capturing words that could destroy a corrupt network. Outside, Nash's men pounded the door, urgent. Bradford, shoulder bandaged with Willa's petticoat, watched the main window. "They've got something heavy. They're breaking in." "How long?" Judah asked. "Minutes, maybe less." Judah checked their setup. 3 windows, 1 door, 5 adults, 1 child against a dozen killers. Math wasn't kind, but math didn't count spirit or love. "Senator," Judah said, "how much more do you need from Emma?" "Every detail, names, dates, talks. It's the key to stopping them, but it's got to be complete." "Then she keeps talking, we keep them out." Judah readied his gun. "Willa, side window with the shotgun. Bradford, door. I've got the main window." Emma kept going, her voice steady through the noise, talking about her dad's hidden papers, hotel meetings, money changing hands, corruption turning the government rotten. The door shook under a battering ram, wood splintering, Nash shouting outside. "They're on the fire escape," Willa called. 3 or 4, with rifles. Glass shattered as bullets flew in, hitting the wood behind the desk. Williams and his team ducked, but the stenographer kept typing. Willa's shotgun blasted, clearing the fire escape, but more came, and the door was giving way. "Emma!" Williams called from behind his desk. "What did your dad find about the railroad? Contracts?" "Papers showed contracts going to fake companies," Emma said, calm despite the chaos. "Money went to San Francisco banks, but no railroads were built. It was simple but genius. Millions stolen for fake projects approved by corrupt officials." The door crashed open and Nash appeared, eyes wild, gun firing. His shot missed. Judah's head by inches. Judah fired back, hitting Nash's chest, but the man kept shooting, tough as nails. "The witness list," Emma said, still talking. "Papa had a list of people who'd testify, but they all died first. Bradford's rifle dropped a man, but a bullet hit his leg and he fell, blood pooling. Willa moved, shotgun ready. She'd lost one husband to violence and wouldn't lose this family. Nash turned his gun on her, but her shot was perfect, sending him crashing back, dead at last. Without Nash, his men faltered. Some ran, others fought, but the tide turned. Emma's testimony was done, recorded, the truth out where it could work. The people who protected it proved love and courage could beat corruption, even against impossible odds. Gunfire faded, and Emma's voice rang clear, answering Williams's questions with patient resolve. "Anything else, Emma?" he asked. She nodded, holding her doll. "Papa said the man in charge lived in a big San Francisco house, Governor Henley. He decided who lived and who died." The stenographer's machine clicked one last time, sealing. The testimony that would topple a criminal empire. Federal troops arrived late, securing the building. Williams stood, rumpled but dignified. "Miss Garrett, you're the bravest girl I've ever met. Your father would be so proud." Emma smiled, bright with hope. "Can we go home now, Uncle Judah? Can we plant that garden?" Judah looked at Willa, their tired joy mirrored. They'd survived, protected what mattered, earned a future. "Yes, sweetheart," he said, lifting her while Willa pressed close. "We can go home." Judah made a new wedding ring from his dad's silver, shaping it during Emma's recovery. It's simple, band shining like their hope. 3 months later, trials had jailed corrupt officials. Morrison awaited execution, and Henley fled to Mexico. The government was rebuilding, cleaner now. Emma's nightmares faded, her laughter brighter. Her doll now a playmate, not a shield. The homestead was a place of peace. Roof fixed, fences mended, livestock in the barn, paid for with reward money. The garden was their pride. Veggies stretching far, flowers blooming, roses for memory, lavender for love, sweet peas climbing like Judah's moms once did. Emma picked flowers for the wedding bouquet, excited to help with the ceremony in the town church. Her joy spread, pulling the community into celebrating something good. "Uncle Judah," she called, "ready to marry Aunt Willa?" He adjusted his dad's old shirt, fitted to him. "More ready than ever, sweetheart." "More. Than for the war?" The question made him pause. "Much more. War was duty. This is what I want." Emma nodded, back to her flowers with serious focus. Watching her, Judah felt grateful for her safety, for how she'd changed their lives by needing them. Willa appeared in the doorway, radiant, in a cream silk dress with pearl buttons, sewn with Martha Henley's help. "Well?" she asked, nervous. "Will I do?" "You're perfect," Judah said, voice thick. The ride to town was joyful, Emma chattering on her pony, Judah and Willa, sharing looks of wonder. The church was full of friends, Doc Harrison, Jake Morrison, even Bradford, arm in a sling. Pastor Mackenzie spoke of love and commitment, words heavy after all they'd survived. "Do you, Judah Boone, take this woman as your wife in good times and bad, until death do you part?" "I do," Judah said, sure as stone. "And you, Willa, Garrett, take this man?" "I do," she said, strong and clear. The silver ring caught the light as Judah slid it on her finger, a promise kept. Their kiss sparked Emma's applause, echoed by everyone. The reception was a happy chaos of food, fiddle music, and toasts. As stars appeared, Judah watched Willa laugh with Martha. Emma teach kids to dance, a community celebrating hope. "Regrets?" Fletcher asked, joining him. "None," Judah said. "First time ever." "Good. That girl's already planning her future. A school, books, places to see." Judah smiled, seeing Emma's endless possibilities. "She's got time now to be a kid, grow up safe, be anything. And you? A father, husband, a man who plants gardens, builds things to last, stays to watch them grow." Emma ran up, dress messy but eyes bright. "Papa, ready to go home?" Home, a miracle of love and courage. "Yes, sweetheart," he said, lifting her as Willa joined them. "We're ready." The ride back was quiet. Stars above, prairie around. At the hill, Emma pointed. "Look, the lights are on." Martha had lit every window and hung lanterns, making the house glow like a fairy tale. As they reached the porch where it all started, Judah remembered seeing Willa cry. "When I saw you crying on my steps," he said, "I knew I'd marry." "You?" Willa smiled, radiant. And I knew you were crazy, or the answer to prayers I was scared to pray. Which was it? Both, she said, kissing him as Emma giggled. Inside their home, built on love and defended. With courage, Judah's restlessness faded to peace. He'd found family, home, love strong enough to transform them all. Tomorrow, they'd start building that future, one day at a time in the garden where his mom's flowers once bloomed.